Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're boosting our financial quotient, our FQ. We're looking at how seasoned investors, particularly baby boomers, are completely rethinking wealth preservation and succession right now. Because let's face it, the financial landscape for retirement has fundamentally shifted beneath our feet, and the old rules, well, they just don't apply anymore.
So we really have to ask ourselves, are the traditional assets that got us here, things like hoarding physical property and stockpiling cash, actually equipped to handle today's challenges? We're dealing with wild yield fluctuations and sticky inflation that can literally cut your purchasing power in half over a couple of decades. Plus, let's be honest, we all just want a high-quality, headache-free retirement where we control our time, not the other way around. Here's what we're looking at today. First, FQ for the new era. Then rethinking traditional asset classes, avoiding high-risk traps, a modern fixed income solution, key features and benefits, and finally, transparency and risk management. Starting with part 1, FQ for the new era. Let's frame the exact financial dilemma facing today's successful, seasoned investors. What got us here won't get us there. That really sums up the modern baby boomer investment philosophy. For the longest time, the formula was a no-brainer, right? Buy blue-chip stocks, collect physical properties, park your cash in the bank, and call it a day. But the macro environment has totally flipped. Today, you want high yields to fund a great lifestyle, ironclad capital protection for smooth succession planning, and above all else, absolutely zero maintenance headaches. That brings us to Section 2, rethinking traditional asset classes. Let's systematically break down why the classic investment portfolio is starting to show its age. Think about the reality of property investment today versus the past. Decades ago, physical property gave you stellar returns, and it was pretty easy to manage. But today, it's a completely different ballgame. To chase decent yields, a lot of investors are backed into a corner, subdividing older flats, constantly dealing with strict fire codes, endless compliance rules, and of course, tenant complaints. It's a massive headache. And when it comes to succession planning, an undivided, illiquid physical property is incredibly messy to split fairly among the next generation. And if we look at the standard alternatives, they aren't looking much better. Bank fixed deposits might offer a paltry 2.6 to 3%, which means thanks to inflation, you're actually losing money in real terms. What about standard entry-level corporate bonds? They often come with hidden counterparty default risks. Meanwhile, those formerly reliable blue-chip stocks, ETFs, REITs, and mutual funds, they just don't offer the vigorous, predictable capital growth they used to, which leaves your wealth tied up and completely at the mercy of daily market whims. Which leads into Section 3, avoiding high-risk traps, because when yields are low, the frantic search for returns begins. As pragmatic investors, where capital preservation and a smooth succession are top priorities, we absolutely have to dodge these pitfalls. I'm talking about the heart-stopping volatility of contracts for difference, foreign exchange, commodities, and complex derivatives. These can literally wipe out decades of hard work in a matter of hours. Then there are investment-linked insurance products, or ILPs, which tend to lock up your cash for years behind layers of confusing fees. And worst of all, in this low-yield environment, outright investment scams promising guaranteed double-digit returns are popping up everywhere. None of these fit into a stress-free retirement plan. Moving to Section 4, a modern fixed income solution. So if physical property is a headache, the bank loses to inflation, and the rest is just too risky, where is the smart money actually going? Enter Builder Land Financing, or BLF. It's a modern fixed income model that's custom-built for our current economic reality. Here's how the mechanics work. Capital is pooled to acquire fully permitted, ready-to-build land. That land is then supplied to massive, top-tier home builders. Why do they want this? Because banks have really tightened their lending, and these builders want to keep building without tying up all their balance sheet cash holding raw land. It is a genuine win-win. The beauty of this model is that it taps straight into a massive structural demand for new housing. Just look at the U.S. Sunbelt. They're facing a deficit of millions of homes right now, thanks to massive demographic shifts. By setting up strict option agreements with these developers, this program creates a stable, highly predictable return for the investor. And the best part? It's completely detached from the chaotic daily volatility of the stock market. Let's jump into Section 5, Key Features and Benefits. We're going to dive into the exact mechanics and numbers of this modern fixed income asset to see why it's outperforming traditional banking and property products. The structure is built around a really clever 2+1+1+1 timeline. You only lock in your capital for an initial term of 2 years.
After that, you get this annual flexibility to either withdraw your funds or just let it ride for another year. That modular approach is absolutely brilliant for succession planning. It gives you control and clear liquidity checkpoints that you simply cannot get from, say, an illiquid apartment building. Now let's talk yields, because this is where the math gets incredibly compelling. During those first 2 locked years, the target yield is a very impressive 8%, but it gets better. If you decide to roll your capital over into years 3, 4, or 5, you actually get a loyalty bump, pushing that target yield up to a highly competitive 8.25%. When you break down the actual payout schedule, you start to see how this can completely transform a retirement. Your principal investment generates a steady quarterly cash flow. This directly solves that immediate need for passive income. You get a predictable payout 4 times a year. You can use that to travel the world, cover premium healthcare, or honestly, just enjoy your life, all without ever having to fix a leaky roof or deal with a single complaining tenant. Finally, Section 6, Transparency and Risk Management. As pragmatic investors, we need to be completely objective here and address the elephant in the room. If we're talking about an 8% yield, we have to practice radical transparency. Any seasoned investor knows there's no free lunch, so what's the catch? Well, the trade-off here is liquidity. Unlike a low-yield bank deposit where you can pull your cash out tomorrow, your capital in a BLF program is strictly locked during those agreed terms. There are no early exit options. You are intentionally trading immediate liquidity for a significantly higher, more stable yield. Okay, but what about default risk? What if the builder goes under? To mitigate that, this model uses some incredibly strict safety mechanisms, specifically a 100% equity pledge and a first lien position on the land. In plain English, this means if the developer goes bankrupt or tries to walk away, the physical permitted land itself acts as your direct collateral. The asset manager takes over that land, which holds real intrinsic value, to protect and return your capital. You sit exactly where you want to be, senior in the capital stock. It's also crucial to look at exactly who we're dealing with here. We aren't talking about highly leveraged property developers in riskier regional markets carrying massive debt loads. No, these are top-tier North American developers with solid investment-grade credit ratings. They run heavily disciplined balance sheets and have massive pipelines of actual home buyers waiting for these properties. The systemic risk profile is just entirely different. Ultimately, elevating your financial quotient for this new era means being proactive. It means officially pivoting away from the heavy maintenance headaches of physical property. It means avoiding the slow bleed of low-yield bank accounts and staying far away from high-risk scams. By embracing structured, asset-backed fixed income solutions like builder land financing, you can protect your wealth, generate the precise cash flow you need, cleanly organize your succession plan, and most importantly, you get your precious time back. As we wrap up this explainer, I'd love for you to look at your own portfolio today and ask yourself a really serious question. Is your capital truly working hard enough to give you the stress-free, high-quality retirement you actually deserve? Or are you just managing the ghosts of past investments? Thanks so much for joining me to elevate your FQ today, and I really encourage you to explore how modern fixed income strategies might just reshape your financial future.